Hi, I'm Mel Stone, one of the team traders with BlackBox Stocks, specializing in dark pool activity, and more recently, really delving in and seeing a lot more activity with the Phantom Prints. So I know we have a lot of new members. Welcome to the team. This has been something that may be a little overwhelming or something that's unfamiliar to you. So I wanted to kind of go through and talk and have a visual so that you can kind of see what my chart looks like, what we've seen before, and kind of where to find this information. So I think it's best to start with what is a phantom print. It's a dark pool print that is outside of our trading range. We do a 24-hour look back. So not only are we looking at where we've currently traded, but we go back another previous day, and anything that's outside of that range is going to be flagged a phantom print. So just as an example, I'm going to move us here to SPY because we did have one come through this evening in the after hours session. Slows my system down on the webinar. Sorry, guys. All right, I'm just scroll back here, and I'm talking about this SPY here that we had come through after hours. This is at 382.01, and the reason this is being flagged as a phantom print, I'm going to take this and put this to a 5-minute chart because we are outside of range. Also going to take off this net options delta, keep this kind of clean so we can focus. All right. So you can see when we zoom into this chart where we have traded for today's range and going to yesterday's range, we are outside with that print. We had a close right here. All right. So the range that we had from yesterday, today, going and looking back to yesterday at 396.25, we had to close today at 388.79. Even in after hours, this is a pricing level that we have not hit. Currently have after hours at 387.76. And so we're flagging this as a phantom print because it's a level that we have not traded at. How they're able to do this is really unbeknownst to us. This is something that we have been tracking for a few years. Hopefully you've checked out the first phantom print video that will show some of the historic activity that we've tracked throughout the years and kind of why we are really adding a little more to be able to pull more data into our stream. Previously, we were only looking at 100,000 shares or more, and the system would alert us when we had a phantom print. We have now opened that up. We've known that there are smaller share lot sizes that will come through. And ultimately, we're looking at this more from a perspective of signaling. I know I get a lot of like, that's only 9 shares, or we've seen some where we've only had 1 share. And it's not that we're looking outside of like anything outside of that being a level of interest where we're seeing some orders come through on a dark pool exchange. So again, we're going to be looking at being outside of range. We have opened the stream up. We are getting a lot more information now because we are flagging anything, even if it's a 1 share lot, and you'd be surprised at how effectively those are actually coming in to be areas where price is attracted to. They're kind of like magnets for price. Also like a signaling print. And I wanted to actually go through and show you my chart so you can kind of understand where we've been coming from and then kind of what we still have open and what we're looking at. But again, this is all activity that is on your platform. It's found under the alert stream. This is where we house all of the dark pool activity. You're able to see all of that come through, or you can unselect that just to see phantom prints. And a reminder, you can open up your date range so that you can pull more information in it if you wanted to do a historical look back and just enter those ranges. I'm going to take you now to my personal chart. I know this seems really busy, but I've been tracking these because what's important, remember, these are oftentimes outside of the range with where we're currently trading. So having that on your chart, I like to add a little more context, add the date that they came in, the price, and how many shares, just to kind of track in the spot price so that I can go back and when that's hit, now mark that as a level that has been hit. But I want to walk this back a little bit further when we started to open up the stream to be able to see the levels or the prints that were coming in that were under 100,000. So we started to get, a lot more information. You can see here, we're going to start here on this 8. Well, we actually had this one. We'll start right here. So on 728, we had 429.22. That was the pricing level we had. But I want to just show you where we were when that came in. So I've got my line extended over here and where we were trading. We'll just kind of take one of these candles. It's pretty far out of range, but we were trading on SPY at 404.25 when that phantom print came through. They did come back and hit that one again on 8/11. So I want you to kind of see where we were with price versus where that print is, and didn't really see much else come in until we got to August the 3rd. And we had another smaller share lot, 126 shares at 425. So we've got one above that, another one here, but recall we're still down here trading at around 415. Then we have price actually come up and tap this first one at 425. We did come up and hit this next print at 429.22. And once we hit that on that same day, we had another dark pool print, phantom print come in at 430.79, and then even one above that at 431. So it was like they were starting to walk up price to where you had these levels that price continued to come in and walk up to. Now, the one at 431.99, we were off by maybe, I think, 10, 15 cents. You can see we didn't quite hit that, but it definitely did give us a push up there. Now, what's more interesting is here we've came and hit all of these phantom prints that we had open, and on 8/16, the day that we came and hit most of these upper levels, we did get a new phantom print that kind of shifted. They weren't continuing to go up in price. We now had one at 422.08. So again, when this one came in, it was after hours, so we were trading at about just under 430, and this one at 422.08. This was a single one share print. If you're in the room, you remember I got on Voice and talked about this, that this was one that was interesting because you had all of them come in, a cluster. You had the Qs, the IWM, and the SPY all with downside comparative to where we had been seeing them kind of walk these up with the phantom prints. And we opened, don't hit it that day. It actually took 3 days before we hit that and did actually touch that on the 19th. So now we had a shift. We didn't have them continuing to come in to upside. We're now starting to see them come into downside. And on 8/18, we had 395.57. So very far from where we were from the upside target. So where we're starting to see, higher prices, we hit all those, and now we're starting to see phantom prints come in that are signaling downside. So here we hadn't even touched this one yet at 422.08. That was definitely one we were watching when this one came in. Again, that being on August 18th, the pricing level 395.57. And so just kind of want to show you where we ended up. And again, this was on 8/18. We did come down and hit that let's see here, that was not tagged there, that was tagged here on August 31st. But before we even came down to this level, we had another downside print coming in at 401. So you can kind of see, we're starting to see where they're trailing these and they are just continuing to come into downside. And before we even hit that 395, we had another one that we hit that came in on this day again with downside. So that's just kind of to give you an idea of, what we've had come through historically. And there's also this cluster that was pretty interesting that all came in on the same day. If you look at my lines, how they're overlapping, let me kind of take this and blow this up. On this day after hours, we had all of these new ones come in that were, again, signaling downside. We hit the first one the day after this next level. We hit the next day, and then on the third day, we came down and we hit that third level. So we had this clustering of downside, downside, downside. So we hit a majority of those targets, and then we did have one come in. It was a day we had data, but it came in pre-market, and this is going to be where we kind of started to see a shift. We had hit most of the levels that we were looking at. It was here, it came in, it's this phantom print right here that was at 388.74. And when that came in, I've got those on my notes there. I'm going to try to blow this up so that you can see it. This came in pre-market, and spot price when that one came in was at 394.60. It was one share at 388.74. We went right down, and within 30 minutes into the market came and tagged that level, and that was a level that we actually bounced from, made higher lows, and at that point is when we started to see signaling for pricing that was going higher. So we had this one on 829. That was a smaller one. That one hit same day as well, but kind of just want to show where we had on 9/8. So I've changed those in blue to kind of show where they're walking up. On 9/8, this was after hours. We had a clustering. We were trading down here. So right over this, we were right at a 400 close. I think that was the day we did the spaces on them. We had the 404.63, we had 411.93, and we also had 411.91, excuse me. So you can see where they came in, the 404, we hit that, they walked it up here. We had some existing that was taken out before we had CPI, so even pre-market, they came right up to these levels before we brought this down. And so we've now hit all of the levels, a majority of the levels that we have to the upside. It's kind of like we've pushed, and we haven't seen them come back in. We've had a few. So the first upside target that I have with some open phantom prints are at this 416.03, but I kind of want to show you where we are right now, because we've just ran a clustering of downside targets. Even today, we finally hit the 390.37. That's one that we had been watching. But this is kind of where we are now. The only open ones that I have that are closest to price, are downside. So here's what we currently have open on 825. We had 385.12, and these highlighted in pink are interesting because these are ones that we originally had come in on a previous date. This first one at 384.88 came in on 8:30 after hours. We did just have them come back in again this week for the same pricing level on 9/13. They also came back in on 9/13 to this 379.52. And if you recall, I mentioned the SPY that we had after hours at 382.01. This is also another level that they had already hit previously that they've come back into. So just this week alone, these three that are highlighted in pink are new ones that have not been hit that are showing downside. And then we have 378.33. So we've kind of got this clustering before we have a bigger gap and we go into another clustering that's starting at 375.10, 373.12 and 371.74. And so kind of to give you an idea of what I'm looking at, I'm not sure that we're going to get all the way down here. I don't like to go to the extremes. I like to keep a little bit closer to pricing range, is that we come and we fill some of these in. And what I'm looking for is to see new dark pool prints come in. New dark pool prints come in once they've hit some of these downside that will show that there's kind of a shift and they're going to be looking to start turning back up. So I want some new prints that kind of will signal us now that we've kind of hit a lot of these downside. I do want to just discuss also the Qs that came in. We do have a few that are over where we're currently trading at 309.67, 310.04. So that one seeing some upside, but I downloaded this. I don't keep up with the Q chart the same way that I do my SPY chart. It's just a lot to kind of continue to monitor and keep up. SPY's the one I've been tracking like very diligently. And so I feel like I've got a good pattern, a good feel for what we have, what's been hit, what's close to price, what's not. And I could just easily recall those. But for those that are new, you can download the dark pool phantom print, the dark pool report or the phantom prints by just clicking this download button. So again, if you go to filter, enter a date range. So I've went back for 2 weeks so I could just get a feel, downloaded this, and this now let me filter to just show the Qs. And what I did was just take my Q chart and start going through dates to see what's been hit based off of where we were. So these three at the top two, those are new. So still open. The one we had yesterday is open, but I want to show you how many hit today on the Qs. So we had that bigger move down. We were looking at this 290.69. That one came in yesterday on 9/14 during the day. We had some additional ones after hours that were clustering around that 290.69. So we hit all of those today. And there's several others that have been hit. So this is really good if you're just getting started. You could use this to help build out your chart to be able to see where you have some open levels. So we do have some that are open above, but we still have some that are pretty close to price. We've got this 279.37 that we haven't touched. We have 283.74 and 286.96, all still open downside. And the closest upside would be what came through tonight, 309.67, 310, but we may need to clear some of these downside out first. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, just wanted to go through and show you my chart. I think it helps to have that visual. I wanted to backtrack a little bit so you can kind of understand how closely we've been tracking these to where we've seen them walk it up, walk it down, walk it up, walk it down. Right now, it seems like we have some unfinished business down here, but the good news is that if they're going to start flipping this around, changing the game, coming in, seeing some upside, we will start to see those come in. You'll get alerted immediately on the phantom print dark pool scanner. There's several in the room that's watching this and alerting that. So I hope this was helpful. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.